Has come about from a request from John a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd do a little short thing on it because it might be of use. His requirement was producing a fence post, gate post, with a fancy top on it along these lines, and I must admit it had me stumped for a while, because I could do this front face, and I had trouble with this one. But then we looked at it a bit further, and John came up with a solution, which then I added a little bit of tidying up to it. So let's just go back in the timeline on this one, to our sketch, and let's go into our sketch then. So the first sketch basically was to create the bottom of the actual post, okay? And then we move up, and that's our post. Now the post will end up being a bit bigger than this, so really if you're doing this sort of thing, then this post needs to be a quarter of the size that you want it in width and depth, and you'll see why in a moment. Now the next stage on this one is we've got to create a pattern, if you like, a template that we can create the shape at the top of. Now I tried a few ways on this one, and the way that I've come up with is this one. Plane, tangent to face or point. Let me just move on one so we can see it. Construction, plane, right. So I've added a plane across this point here. Move on, and where's it gone? There it is. So the plane is on here. Now when you put this plane on, you can we'll see, you can edit the feature. So by adding that plane on at an angle on that edge, you can then alter the angle of it. Now I want it to be 45 degrees because what we're going to do on this, we're going to draw a pattern on this plane that we then use as the template to cut away the top of the post. Okay, so that's the first job done, is we have the plane on there. Now let's put the body back in. Now what we're going to do is draw a shape on here to extrude back this way and cut into here. Now one of the problems why it was sent to me in the first place is that what we can do then is we can go into sketch mode and we can sketch on this plane. So if we go in there to sketch, and we're going to go onto that plane to sketch. I don't know why it keeps doing that all the time. I can draw and go on and do a curve, and I can do a curve from the top down to the bottom, etc. But there's no guarantee. You can see if we look there, because we can't catch up with the edges. So let's go back a moment and finish that and come to this one. Whoops. So you can see what we've done here is on the plane that we had, we've put a projection line. So if we put the plane back in again, if you go into edit mode and then edit that plane. Now what I can do, let's get it up at an angle so you can see it, is that if I now come into create and project with a P, and if I click on that edge, can you see how the red line, that red line is appearing on my plane? So it's projecting, let's go that way round, it's projecting that edge onto the plane. Difficult to see. Now over this side, I've done one already and it's purple. You can see it's lining up with that purple one. So that then gives me an edge where I can do the curve to. So let's come out of that one a moment. And then you can draw your curve on it. We can't quite see the blue, can you? Let's turn the bodies off. There you are. So what I've done now is draw my curve, the shape that I want. And I can draw it on this plane that I'm on, but let's go down there. I want to get at the top angle really, so you can see what I mean. Put the body back on. You can see the shape of the in there, and it matches up with that corner, so I can now extend that one through to there. That's why the plane was done at 45 degrees in the first place. So let's finish that sketch and come back up. And then basically you've drawn an outer square as well. So that's the shape, but that's the shape we want left. So we draw a square around it, and I always put the square a bit bigger, because if you draw it exactly, you might leave a sliver behind. So draw your outside line. So therefore, it's this shape here is the one we're going to cut away. And when you cut it away, it ends up looking like that. Let's just go back again. If we highlight that one and we go into extrude, and you can see there, it's cut away, okay? So that's our next move. Let's turn the sketch off now for simplicity. So there's basically, you can see one corner. So all we're gonna do now, that was me just making the gate post longer. We then do a create pattern, circular pattern, choose the body, which is that one. Choose the axis, which is going to be that back axis there, and go on full, and I want 4 of them, and we end up with the shape that John was looking for on the top of his fence post.